Oh yeah, so this is the story of the summer of 2024 when I flew to Bristol Bay and worked the salmon season on a tender boat. If you don't know what that is, don't worry, I'll explain the whole thing. Let's get down out of this thing and get on the ground and head to the boatyard.
It's good. Go look here, the other side's...
So this is the yard where our boat was dry docked over the harsh Alaskan winter, and we got started on getting it ready for salmon season. Lots of cleaning and painting. About a week later, we got kicked out and had to tie up the boat to the dock here at the Red Salmon Cannery, and we still got a lot of work done here. I had to move into the boat, but for the first week, I stayed here. This is the Raven. This is actually the women's dorm, but there were no cannery workers here yet, so there were no females to house, so we got to kind of have the thing to ourselves, us and the guys on the Walrus or sister ship. So here's the bathroom, and kind of a reminder that it's the women's dorm, which was kind of comical, and super nice hot showers, man. This place is not the Ritz, it's not fancy, it's Alaska, but everything worked and we got it done and it was good. So right down here on the left is our dorm where I stayed the first night before I got my own room because Herb snores and this bed was built like a lumpy banana. I moved onto the boat here, the Penguin, a little better view, and we did all kinds of boat watching down here the first month. There they are, first gill netters of the season. And then the beluga showed up, just like they do every year, to let us know that the salmon are on their way. So this lady, man, we sat inside the Penguin in the galley and watched this unfold. For some reason, she buried her anchor in this Naknek River mud, which is like just straight cement. It's insanely sticky. We're trying to figure out how to help her if she ended up needing help, but she ended up crawling all the way out. It was pretty wild. So this is the old Penguin. We're actually getting ready to leave. This is right at the end. I'm leaving tomorrow. I just want to document it, show you guys what the boat's like. This is a galley, got a top bunk here. This is a bottom bunk. This is the spanker. I'll let you figure out why it's called that. This is my bunk. And here's the table. We got a radio up there. There's one radio station because Alaska. We got a kitchen table up here. So this is the stove. It's a heater. It's a stove top. It's an oven. And it runs the water heater. This hot water auto circulates through here. It's pretty cool. We got a microwave over here, a coffee machine. I've been good friends with that. We got some food storage. Here's a little fridge, a little freezer up top there. It's not too bad. This was our home. The boat is sold, so it's probably going to change quite a bit. This down here is the engine room. This is one of my favorite parts. Look at all this old stuff. So this is a World War II boat. Here's some of the original stuff they put in there from the military when they made it. But this is just such a cool boat. Look at the grain lines in this wood. This is really cool old growth wood. Here's the starboard motor. It's looking a little sad, but she runs really good. Look at this crazy old pulley system up here, which is not functional anymore, but it looks cool. I'll just kind of spin around. There's an old port window up there it's boarded off so it doesn't work, but it's really cool looking. Look at all the old, like the rust in the exhaust. Before I knew it, we got the call and we were headed to the mouth of the river to start receiving fish from the fishermen. So this here on the left is a wild island. It is the second worst part of Alaska after mosquitoes. And it loved to anchor up right next to us with its loud, stanky exhaust.
Look at the name of this vessel. Dixie Normus. That's great.
So we got to see a couple famous boats from the Deadliest Catch. This is one of them here, and then also the Maverick, which anchored up right next to us. That was pretty cool. So here are some boats that are all lined up, just getting ready for the season openings. We had different openings at different times where fishermen could fish in the beginning, and then it was just open 24/7 towards the end. And we've got the ghost ship here, the Kev Alaska, another World War II boat that is no longer with us. We anchored up outside of that most of the time. So here's the old girl in all her glory. She may never look the same, so I'm glad I got some footage of her. So this was the actual job. I forgot to film this thing. Whenever we got a boat, it was a get on it right now, get immediately to work. Whether you were sleeping, taking a it didn't matter. You got on your cranes. So the times I filmed myself didn't work. So my friend and mentor here, Herb, who taught me everything, has got his crane over and it's picking up a bag of fish out of a fishing boat that we helped tie off, and got their information so we could put everything in the computer. And I'm moving the bag here that's full of salmon, and there's that square thing at the top. That's a scale. So we're seeing how much it weighs, and Herb's writing it down in his book. And we're going to keep track of the weights of everything. And I'm going to help guide this thing down in the hole that is filled with ice and drop the bag down there, and watch out for those ropes, man. They're full of fish guts. So I'm going to tie a little knot in this thing and try to throw it back up on the hook and look cool doing it. I think I did an okay job. What do you think? So we're going to lift it up a little bit more and get the weight of the bag so that we don't, pay the fishermen for that. But we don't actually do the paying. We just record weights, basically. So he's going to stick that bag back over there for him, and probably do that a couple more times. So after this, we get them their tickets and everything, and then we run down and shut off the engine. We were paid daily, and that meant that we were on call 24 hours a day, and would usually take in fish on one tide and then go and deliver on the next. Towards the end, we worked more tides in a row before we brought them in because we didn't fill up enough to make it worth it. So this is our trip back to the cannery to get the fish sucked out. And we always passed by the city dock, and it was always great to see the little tugboats and see what kind of action was going on there. So here's the setup right here. That big tube in the middle sucks all the fish out, and if they get too dry, it can't suck. So the little tube that's about to bust out some slimy ass fish gut water, that helps lubricate everything and keep the suction up. And once the sucking's done, then we fill the thing back up with this crazy snow cone machine. So before we knew it, man, this whole thing was over. It went by in the blink of an eye. It was so fast. It was so crazy. And this is the process of lifting up the set net boats, and that big shack on the top left, they store, I don't know, probably 50 boats in there. But this job was really dangerous. If I would have fallen off into the water at night, or, when it was foggy or nobody was looking, I definitely would have died. That water is extremely cold and very, very fast moving. And there are actually 2 men who lost their lives this year in this salmon season, and it's a normal thing. Every year people die. This is just outside the boat. Hey guys, we got a bear. Look at this guy. Yeah, don't get stuck in the mud, buddy. Don't get stuck in the mud. So there was a family of 3 bears here, a mom and 2 cubs. That's the mama. This is the mama on the right and one of the cubs on the left. Rowdy is the one that approached my boat. He was about 10 feet away, and I was about 5 feet off the ground. If he wanted me, he could have taken me. Check this out. This dude just got charged by Rowdy. It was so funny, man. I followed this guy down the beach from afar. I was like 100 feet away here. And he charged these bears that were eating salmon out of a net, and just raised up his arms and scared them all off. It was crazy. But man, I had such a good time watching these bears here. This must have been my favorite part. I got really lucky and had a really good crew, worked with a bunch of great people, and learned a bunch of stuff about myself. I really pushed my limits and got out of my comfort zone, and I'm really proud of myself, and I did a really good job. But the bears were awesome. They were so cool. That was Rowdy with the fish. And here's the 2 cubs out in the river. And they were way out there, dude. They were like 20 feet out there at one point. And they just loved to wrestle with each other and fight. And they were so fun to watch, man. Oh, it was so cool. So I think that the 2 main takeaways from this whole experience for me were, one, that nothing's promised. When I sat and listened to these guys that have been, doing commercial fishing for a long time, it sounds like talking to a war veteran or something. They keep talking about all these people they used to know that have died. It's a really intense industry, And the other thing is that my problems don't matter. You know, I had all these things I was kind of hung up on before I went, and when I was in Alaska, I wasn't thinking about them at all. So when I got back, I kind of came to the conclusion that I didn't really have any problems to begin with.